Hi, can I help you?
Hey, what's going on, man? You Mike? You Mike? This is a nice spot you got here. This is a nice spot.
Sorry? Who are you?
Mike, I see you all the time, man. You don't remember me? Okay, it's all good, man. It's all good. Listen, I got a huge dilemma. I see you on MySpace all the time. What's MySpace? But I figured you'd be the guy to talk to about cars. So all my friends got Civic Type Rs. My mom wants me to buy a 4-door. So I'm like, I'm stuck, because I'm like, insurance is expensive if I get a 2-door hatchback, so I can't afford that. I gotta get a 4-door. I want the hatchback look. What can I get? Help me out. Help me out.
All right, dude. So you want 2 cars. Like, the point is you want 2 cars, and you don't want to buy 2 cars. You want 2 cars, you want a 2-door and a 4-door.
Help me out. Help me out.
Okay, so I guess I could fix your problem if I can find one car that does the same job as a 2-door and a 4-door.
This is the problem I'm having.
All right, dude, I think I got something for you. Come over here.
I knew I could count on you. Today, we're bringing it back to 1995 with our 2022 Hyundai Veloster DCT and feast your eyes on this Veloster N. You see, they don't make the Veloster anymore. This is the last you can get because Hyundai has their focuses on SUVs. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about the front. I'm gonna talk about the side, I'm gonna talk about the back. I'm also gonna talk about the stuff that I really like, including the fact that this is 2 cars in one. Yes, 2 cars in one, so let's get into it. So we're gonna start off by crucifying the letter N. You see, there is Golf R, Type R, SVR. The word R just screams race because that's what it is. You see, the only other letter I can think of in my mind that stands alone is BMW's M because they've been doing it for a very long time. Now Hyundai's come with this letter N because the N stands for Namyang, which is where the R&D happens for this Veloster. It also stands for the first letter of the Nürburgring, which is where this vehicle has been tested thoroughly. So let's ask ourselves, does N really give you that fire? Does it give you that spirit? Well, we're gonna find out. Because this N is the last of the Mohicans because they make no more Velosters, as I mentioned. And that's something that Volkswagen has also done. You see, the Volkswagens dropped the regular Golf. They make the Golf GTI and the Golf R because the Golf has been replaced by the Teos because Hyundai wants to focus all their efforts on SUVs. This car honestly makes me feel 20 again. There's so many pieces to this thing and I cannot wait to get into it. With its blue seat belts, with these crazy seats that light up like a BMW M3 from 2009. So we'll start with the front here, specifically the color. You see, this is called Cyber Gray. They make an exclusive color to Canada and it's called Shooting Star Matte. And Matte, our buddies Jacob and Yuri reviewed the other day. So this is gray, that is Shooting Star Matte. Now, take a look at the front end. Now, it's got this big aggressive grumper, and it does have these red inserts all the way around. It does have something unique. It actually has a little insert here where the air flows right on the edge of the bumper. Now, all these are closed off, so there is no inflow to any sort of intakes or any of that stuff. It's all just done through the side here. That's the only inlet you have besides, obviously, this huge front grille with the nice N badge right there. Tell me what you guys think about this front end. Would you like to see the Hyundai badge in black? What do you think? Now the Veloster's been out for a few years, but this is different because this one has an 8-speed wet dual clutch DCT transmission. That makes this thing move because you go from 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds. That's under 5 seconds. That is nuts, man. That's crazy. So as far as power goes, it makes 275 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. Out of an 8-speed, as I said, it does have something called corner carving differential, which is an electronic front differential that this thing has. But the cool part about this is behind the scenes, they're actually making potentially an RM20, which is a mid-engine Veloster. That is sweet. Man, that is crazy. I love this stuff. Think about it. 20 years ago, you could not get anything like this. If you wanted something to break the 5-second mark, you'd have to make like 400 horsepower. And with this 4-cylinder 2-liter turbo, you can also get a manual transmission, but let's move to the side because that is the most important. And we'll talk about the front in a moment, but I want to talk about this particular portion. Yes, those are 2 doors, 1 and 2. You see, this is very versatile. It's the only car we've ever had on the channel that is 2 cars in 1. You can get a 4-door version, theoretically, 2 on this side, 1 on that side. Yes, there's 1 on that side. That is because when you find this girl that you love and she wants to bring this big boy home, yes, you can take this because you can fit baby seats in the back. But if you go out with your buddies, yes, you don't want to drive a 4-door sedan. You want to drive a 2-door hatchback, and yes, this allows it as well. And since we're on the topic of doors, this door is a normal size door. That door is massive. It's about 1.5 times the size of this door. But what's more important is the quality of the door and the quality that Hyundai have put in the Veloster. It's actually better than the Santa Cruz, if you believe it or not. When I close this door, listen. This is a solid door. It's not hollow. I felt with the Santa Cruz when I pulled the handle, it felt very light and empty. This one doesn't. It feels solid. When I close the door, it feels solid. Now let's get back to the front. As far as the wheels go, those are 19-inch wheels with nice red brakes. They're actually 13.66-inch rotors, which are a lot better than Ian's Mazda. And as far as design here, when it comes to the front fenders, they are wide body. And you can see it from the side here, and you can see it from the back as well. It sort of follows this wide body, thick, sick stance. And moving down here, you have your black side skirts with the red accent that is thoroughly N. And then moving along the back here, it does say N right here, and you do have a little bit of skirting that's supposed to funnel air through, but it really just kind of stops in the back. And in the back here, we have multi-link suspension. Now, as far as inner fender liners go, this is a performance sporty hatchback, so I doubt there will be carpeted inner fender liners, and that is true because they are plastic in the front and they are plastic in the back, like I expected. All right, so the back. But before we jump to the back, we'll talk about gas. We put 94 octane in this thing and we find it makes a really big difference. Now we'll start at the top and work our way down. It does have the shark fin antenna there, and it sort of has a double fin spoiler. It's got the original one that sort of looks like most other hatchbacks and most other vehicles that have a little bit of a spoiler, but this has this big double one. And it's got a little bit of carbon fiber on the side here. It doesn't look authentic, but it gives that same design of carbon fiber. Now it does have this triangle third brake light hiding in there. That's nice to see. And as we move lower down here, this is part of the body. You see this, when I press this button here, this is the trunk. So this is part of the body, and you can see it looks wide, looks really sporty, looks really different. Now moving below you here, you have these taillights. Now these taillights are similar to the Santa Cruz. The Santa Cruz has 1 large arrow and this one has 3 smaller arrows. Except the Santa Cruz said designed in California on the side, and this one says Veloster. Now as far as the trunk lid goes, it says Veloster here, the Hyundai badge, and then obviously the big N. But the meat and potatoes is really this bumper. Now look how big and monstrous this bumper is. It's so big it doesn't really fit this car because it's massive. It makes it look wide body and strong. Check out these exhausts. These exhausts are massive, and who cares what they look like? Let's go see what they sound. So how much stuff can the Veloster actually fit? So let's take this real estate sign. You see them everywhere. It happens to have my name on it. You can take this, and even with this cover on top, I can put this bad boy in, and it just about fits. It's very tight, but it just about fits. And voila, you can actually fit a real estate sign in. When I saw this sign, I thought there's no way that this sign is going to fit in this little car. But yes, this guy does. Now I've removed the deck lid here, and it does have a very deep trunk. High entry point, as you can see, but it's a deep trunk, so stuff would fit in fairly easily. I would lift it up, put it over. I do have a lot of space to get that in there. But there's a little bit of a trick here. Now it does have 60-40 split seats, so I simply just push this, and then I can slide these seats down, push these seats down, 1 on each side, and very easy to do. Now there's a little bit of a trick, because if I actually had this seat down and that seat up, I have 2 doors here. So when I open this door and I want to get in, there's a seat that's down and there's stuff there. So I can't actually get on the other side. But on the other side, I don't have 2 doors. I only have the driver's door, so I have to get in and have the driver move up. So a little bit tricky. It's tricky when you have this seat down and that seat up. So always keep in mind that you have the 40% version to be up and the 60% version to be down. All right, so I'm attempting to jump in the back seat of this Veloster N. Now, these seats are awesome. The front seats are awesome, but I'll get into that. There's this little thing down here you gotta pull, and yeah, the seat does slide forward. So I'm gonna try to get back here the normal conventional way on a vehicle that has 2 doors, and you know, like 2 full doors, not 3 doors. This pops all the way back here. It does have super cool seat belts. These blue seat belts really match my FUBU chain. Should have worn my blue velour suit. As far as being back here, I'm 5'8½", and I would say I'm just about at the limit. There's no sunroof, so this is as much as I can go. There's a little indentation in the roof line here to give me a little bit more headroom, so I'm just about okay at 5'8½". Some strange things though. This is a 4-seater vehicle. There's only 2 seatbelts in the back and 2 seatbelts in the front. As far as me getting out, well, there's just no way I can get out unless I get out there, because that door panel has a door handle. This door panel, well, there's no handle. This also doesn't have a window switch. I have no window that can go up or down because there's no door. On that side, I do have a window switch. Just totally different cars when I turn my head left and when I turn my head right. There is no USBs or USBs in the back, so this is basically just a method of transportation, because the most important part is the driver. Let's become one. Now let's jump in this thing, and these seats are awesome. They do have this N lit up just like the last BMW, because the same guy that designed the BMWs with these lights designed this car. Albert, we're talking to you. Now, good seats, they fit well, they are manual, they're not automatic, but they do have good adjustments. I can pump it up, pump it down, obviously slide it backwards and forwards, and then tilt it like back in the day. So you can drive this car almost sleeping and still see above the hood. So you see, it will make you feel 20 years younger. What other stuff? It does keep you in your lane, because obviously this is a Hyundai Kia product. It does a great job with that. It does have analog gauges, which are awesome, and a center small driver's display. It does have all the buttons you need on the steering wheel. It's got nice big paddle shifters on the upper portion and the lower portion. It does have your cruise control. It does have your different drive modes. When I hit drive modes, I've got normal, sport, and eco, which obviously changes the steering input, the suspension, as well as the exhaust note, which is primo. Next up is the race button on the right side. When I hit this race button, then it launches into N mode. And that is where everything sort of tightens up and gets really, really aggressive. If I wanted to launch this car, actually there is no button to do it on the steering wheel. I have to actually get into the system, and I can choose at what percentage of RPM I would like to launch this on. And it activates for 5 minutes only. I can't simply just press my ESP down and launch. I got to go in the menu and press it. But we'll get in that in a minute. Moving along here, I can see these 4 LED events. There's a really small one here, a larger one here, and then a decent sized one over there. It does have a medium sized screen, but the software in it is awesome. I'm a really big fan of that stuff. It does have hard buttons for map, seek, track, and then obviously a favorite button, your nav, your radio, media, and setup. Moving along on the bottom here, it does look very basic in terms of these buttons. As I mentioned in some of the other Hyundai Kia products, it's very straightforward, very simple. There's just nothing fancy about it. Underneath that, you do have your 12 volt, you do have a USB, and then your another USB to charge. There is no wireless charging in this one, and if you want to see what the key looks like, well, it looks like this. And on the bottom, it does also say N on the shifter. That's very easy to hold. It does light up over there. It does have ESP. It does have a blank button, your heated seats on both sides, and a heated steering wheel, which you cannot get in the US. You can only get that in Canada. Heated seats and heated steering wheel. It does have a manual handbrake, which is awesome. The Mazda 3 does not have that. It does have 2 good cup holders and a fairly decent sized glove box. I wish this would slide backwards and forwards. Did I say glove box? I meant center console box. The glove box, yeah, pretty standard stuff. Everything is basically kind of basic. There's no sunroof because it's all about the drive. But before we get in the drive, let's jump into the screen. So if we jump into the screen here, it does have the same sort of layout as all Kia Hyundai products. It does show you the map on sort of in the background here, the time, the fact that you're a guest because you haven't registered yourself as an account, the temperature outside, and what you're listening to. So if I slide over here, everything is in blue. So this is similar to the Santa Cruz. This is not like the Kia products. This actually is all blue all the way, with the exception of having an N mode. So this is like I was talking about. This shows you some interesting stuff like your G-force, your performance timer, your oil temperature, torque, and turbo. Now you can hit this custom button, you can change a few things. It's sort of like a web design where you can tighten things up. So if you want to get the ELSD a little bit tighter, you can sort of pull it here and change it in different modes. You can have the engine one step up into Sport Plus, the suspension all the way up into things. So it's kind of a web thing. It's totally cool. Haven't seen this before in a vehicle, but it's pretty awesome that you can adjust this if you want to be fancy about certain things. You can get details and you can show it to you and all that fun stuff. So let's get back into the most important part, and that is performance options. This is where you have 4 different options you can adjust from. So like I was talking about, your launch control, you can set your different RPM. The lowest you can launch is 2000 RPM. Anything lower than that, you'll probably just bog out, and as high as 3500 RPM. And then activate right there. You activate it for 5 minutes. Next up is the shift light, which is pretty cool because it's just above my cluster here. It's very easy, and it's just, more cars should really have this. You can have it obviously set in different drive modes. You can choose what you want. You want to have it a normal, sport, N, or custom. And then N track sense shift. This is basically when you're in different sport modes. Now I did mention, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but this does a very, very good job at rev matching, and I'll go over that on the drive. And next up is something called N Power Shift. It enhances acceleration performance and drive feel by optimizing shift responses, which is totally different than something called NGS, which is super cool. NGS is basically like an overboost function that some of the Porsches have, and when I hit it, it says N-Grin Shift. And N-Grin Shift is 20 seconds of extra power that maximizes all the power and gives that engine a little bit more thumpy. So with all that said, let's take this thing for a drive. The ground. Quick shifting. Out of the box, man, this is out of the box. Yes, this thing does 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. That is faster than Ian's Mazda 3. That is faster than GTI. This thing boogies. But besides boogie, it's just more tossable. It's more life. It's more alive. It's just more engaging. But I did notice something. First to second shift is not as aggressive as second to third. First to second, it's like they backed off a little bit, just maybe they wanted to last a little bit longer. But first to second shift, just watch this. First to second, get on the throttle. So good, but watch this. Like, yeah. It's like way harder, second to third. It's interesting. Haven't felt that much of a difference between first to second and second to third. And on the throttle. Oh my God, this thing. It's not always about the horsepower, it's about the feeling of feeling alive and having fun, and that's what this thing does. There's no doubt, every review that I've watched on this thing, it's always about excitement, happy, people, everybody smiling in it. It just brings that. And at that 40K price point in Canada, and US numbers here somewhere around here. Great seats. The seats hold you in. They're cloth, so they're not leather. They're not going to make you sweaty and hot in the summertime. They're good. They're nice. They got good support. Great transmission. You can get matte colors on the outside. It's funky that it's got 2 doors on one side, 1 door on the other. It's unique. There's not a lot of people that have these things. It obviously has great keep you in your lane, stopping and going, because Kia, Hyundai, that kind of stuff, they just do a great job with that. All the buttons, yes, is fairly plain. That's probably the only knock on the car, that all this center console is fairly basic. Yes, there's a lot of plastic, but again, someone's going to buy this, they're buying it for the engine, the fact that it's short wheelbase, you can throw it around, and it does have all these little gimmicks that are kind of cool, that deserve to be on this car. And there's not very many cars like this. They're either too refined in terms of all the fluff in there, and it weighs too much. This thing weighs 3,100 pounds, which is, I wouldn't say the lightest thing in the world, but it's somewhere just enough that it's just light enough, essentially. It's got this cool blue gimmick behind on the seats. That's kind of nice at night. You pop it open, it looks pretty sweet. Yeah, it kind of fits all the boxes. So when they were looking at building this car, they put all these little like gimmicks together of like, how can we get and build something cool that's young and different? And I feel like they've done that with this. That second to third is fast. Yeah, third to fourth is fast as well. And then the popping, that's the crazy part. That is the crazy part, the popping. You want more popping? Well, take a listen to this. But the best part is I can drive this thing with my seat like I'm 20. I could just chill out, and I can still see in the exact same position, right in the middle of the windshield. Yeah, chilling like I'm 20. And what everybody wants to know, how does this car drive in regular mode and not race mode? Yeah, no chance. Everybody wants to know what this car drives in race mode. But for those that don't want to know, that might want to buy this car for maybe every day and then, track on the weekends, how does it drive in eco or comfort mode? Well, I'm in eco right now, and it drives like a normal car. Shifts well, it's fairly comfortable. It's definitely a change. There is definitely a change with the suspension. When I'm in race mode or sport mode, that makes the exhaust sound a little bit louder and crazy. The suspension totally tightens up, and so does the steering wheel. And it's important to note because the back of this thing, it's kind of a short wheelbase, and when you hit a bump on the back, you get this like thud on the back because it's so stiff. Like the wheel travel is very, very harsh. It's not soft at all. It's basically a go-kart. So eco is important to know because for those people that will drive it and not always want to break their back, because it does get good attention. It's not really only for kids. I'm playing around in terms of trying to say that it's a 20-year-old's car, but it's not really. It's pretty versatile in terms of trunk room. You put the seats down, put all the stuff in it, and around town now, it is pretty good. And it has all the safety systems, keeps you in the lane, automatic braking, all that fun stuff. But it is about race mode, and it's about feeling how easy this thing is to drive and zip around corners and fly through the city, because that's what you'd buy one for. One nice turn for good luck here. Oh, this LST is awesome. This thing hooks like crazy. Oh my god, this thing is a go-kart. Come back here. I will honestly tell you that this doesn't feel like a Hyundai. When I get in this thing, I'm not thinking, man, this is a Hyundai. Yeah, buy a Hyundai. I would probably change the end, but obviously I don't run the company, so I can't do that. But I would probably add a little bit more twist to the end. The word "end" doesn't just really pop out of my chest, but maybe driving enough of this every day might. So I hope you guys like this video on this Hyundai Veloster. Oh, around the corner again. Oh, so much fun. Oh my god. So fun. Yep, well I hope you guys like this video. It's nice and dark, probably can't see me, on this Veloster N DCT 8-speed 2022. Catch you next time.